Exceptionalism for Americans is the belief that the United States is, in some way, more open, more vigorous, more optimistic than other nations are.
During his travels in 1831, French writer Alexis de Tocqueville observed that America was an exceptional nation with a special role to play in human history.
He saw in the United States a culture arising out of limited government that was unlike anything he had ever seen.
In another word for unique is exceptional.
Whereas revolution led to anarchy in France, the American Revolution produced a unique culture of freedom and opportunity.
American exceptionalism has been at the center of our nation's experience for nearly 400 years. What makes America unique? Politically, culturally, in science and industry.
What is the source of our country's blessings? And have many of us forgotten why America is an exceptional nation?
I believe that God put this land between the two great oceans to be found by special people from every corner of the world.
What we hear in Ronald Reagan's speech when he's talking about a city on a hill, he's saying that we've returned to who we really are as Americans. We have always believed that we can be a beacon for the rest of the world.
Our belief in American exceptionalism has historically been bipartisan. However, there are signs that this is no longer so.
We're at battle, quite frankly, between two competing values, the American system and the European socialistic system.
What then can we do? And how can we strengthen American exceptionalism to have a new birth of freedom and prosperity?
America has historically been committed to building a better future. Again and again, the American people have demonstrated a remarkable ability to choose wisely when faced with great challenges.
Our best leaders have reminded us that we have a moral obligation to the cause of freedom, and that the cause of freedom is the cause of all mankind.
American exceptionalism is really a great term, and it is something that is very special to us. And by the way, we have to be very, very careful to protect it and cherish it, because it can also disappear.
Will this latest generation, as Abraham Lincoln so famously said, will this latest generation hand that torch of liberty to the next generation? That is our charge today.
What American exceptionalism is not. It is not that we are better people. It is not that we are superior people. It is not that we are smarter people. It is not that God loves us and hates everybody else. It is not that God prefers us. It is not that God doesn't prefer anybody else. American exceptionalism has nothing to do with anything but freedom and liberty. Here is what American exceptionalism is. The vast majority of the people of this world, since the beginning of time, have never known the kind of liberty and freedom that's taken for granted every day in this country. Most people have lived in abject fear of their leaders. Most people have lived in abject fear of whoever held power over them. Most people in the world have not had plentiful access to food and clean water. It was a major daily undertaking for most people to come up with just those two basic things. Just surviving was the primary occupation of most people in the world. The history of the world is dictatorship, tyranny, whatever you want to call it, subjugation of populations. And then along came the United States of America. Pilgrims were the first to come here seeking freedom from all of that. They were oppressed because of their religion. They were told they had to believe in the king and his God, whatever it was, or they would be imprisoned. They led an exodus from Europe to this country of people of the same mindset. They simply wanted to escape the tyranny of their ordinary lives. This country was founded. For the first time in human history, a government and country was founded on the belief that leaders serve the population. This country, the first in history, and this is the exception, E-X-C-E-P-T, except the exception to the rule is what American exceptionalism is. And because of this liberty and freedom that our country exists because the founders recognized it comes from God. It's part of the natural yearning of the human spirit. It is not granted by a government. It's not granted by Putin. It's not granted by Obama or any other human being. We are created with the natural yearning to be free. And it is other men and leaders throughout human history who have suppressed that and imprisoned people for seeking it. The U.S. is the first time in the history of the world where a government was organized with a constitution laying out the rules that the individual was supreme and dominant. And that is what led to the U.S. becoming the greatest country ever, because it unleashed people to be the best they could be, unlike it had ever happened. That's American exceptionalism.
Mr. Stone, you and your co-author recently wrote a definition of American exceptionalism in the Daily Beast. You say that American exceptionalism is the, and I'm quoting, fantasy that the United States as God's gift to humanity is unique among nations, motivated by generosity, benevolence and altruism as it strikes out in the world. But again, I have to put it to you. This is an exceptional nation in other terms.
You came to this country and you love it, and I love this country. I was born here. My mother was an immigrant. I understand the energy. I understand the sense of freedom, the sense of a sense of democracy. But when you go abroad and you make statements like recently Hillary Clinton in 2011 wrote an article in Foreign Affairs about this is America, the 21st century will be America's Pacific century, that Asia is a new pivot point as the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq wind down. America is now going to turn its attention to containing China. The same containment policy as supposedly we had against the Soviet Union in 1945. It's the old game. And what do? We build up our military in Asia now. We're going to spend as much money as we ever spent, and we're taking the world even a higher space of a higher definition of risk, because we are developing space against the wishes of all the other countries. We have refused to sign any treaties not to militarize space. So this has reached a new three-tier space shield with the U.S. full spectrum dominance: air, sea, land, cyber, space. Wow. It's dangerous. So who are we crazy to talk this way? And here is Obama now in the election saying we are the, he even said we are the indispensable nation. He was quoting Madeleine Albright, who's had the gall to say, what was the quote from Madeleine?
If we have to use force, it's because we're the United States. We're the indispensable nation.
You're justifying that. You're saying that's, why not? That's what you're saying. That's what it's
No, I'm asking questions.
I've heard that in Britain.
I'm asking questions, of course. Oliver Stone, Professor Kuznick, thank you both. And the Untold History of the United States series is currently airing on Showtime. And of course, you can buy the book. Our thanks to both of you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Stay with us, much more ahead.
At least we ended on a good.
Why do you build me up, baby, just to let me down?
The country is real screwed up, and it's a shame, especially for people who are as old as I am now and remember when it was, as Burt Lancaster said in the movie Atlantic City, this used to be a pretty good country. And, you know, it still, I guess, could be again, but I think many of us think things are so off track, and that there are so many greedy, selfish people who have hijacked what was good about this country. And when I hear the Republicans railing on as they do about American exceptionalism, and they're very obsessed with the idea that Obama will not say American exceptionalism. Well, you know what's exceptional about America, unfortunately, is, we're the only advanced nation that doesn't have health care. We're number one in income inequality. We are the nation that throws the highest percentage of our own people into prison We're number one in debt. We're number one in military expenditures. We're number one in meth labs and fat toddlers. The things we're number one in these days are mostly not good things.